The following comedy routine was written by Bert Susanka, songwriter, guitarist, and singer of the Huntington Beach, California-based band, the Ziggens. While writing this comedy routine, Bert was diagnosed with ALS, also known as Gehrig's disease. Upon completion of the writing, Bert no longer had use of his voice as the disease was progressing. As such, Bert's good friend, Todd Z-Man Zalkins, stepped in to read the routine for Bert, exactly as Bert wrote it. Todd Zalkins is the author of the novel Dying for Triplicate and the subject of the documentary film from 2017 called The Long Way Back. Mr. Zalkins is a frequent lecturer and drug crisis intervention specialist who is dedicating his life to rescuing people from the depths of drug addiction. We thank Todd for his willingness to be Bert's voice. This special is called Comedy for People on Life Support.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much. Good evening, and thank you for coming out. I want you all to enjoy your night out, being young and healthy. I tell you, it goes quickly. Just like that, I'm old and sickly. It's not easy being old. The other day, I went to my doctor because I twisted my ankle. He gave me a prostate exam. And that wasn't the weird part. The weird part was we were still in the waiting room. Nowadays, if I meet a woman my age, I don't ask her if she's single. I ask her if she's shingle. Hey, true story though, my wife recently bought me a book to help me. It's called The Aging Brain. I lost the book. Speaking of my wife, I asked her if we could have an open marriage. And believe it or not, she agreed. She said I'm open to divorce, then she opened the door for me to get out. I tell you, it's not easy being married. Even after all these years, my wife said she needed to go find herself. I told her, how about you find yourself in the laundry room? Or how about you find yourself in the kitchen? I'm thinking ham on rye, you know what I'm saying? Even vacations are rough at our age. Spring break to us means every spring one of us falls and breaks a hip. It seems that only yesterday I was making fun of old men who wore their pants practically up to their neck. But now, no matter what I do, I can't keep my pants from falling. I've got 2 belts, 2 wallets, and a package of hankies to try and keep them up, and they still fall down. I finally broke down and bought suspenders, which really helps, especially when I'm wearing my Speedo. Part of my problem, though, is my weight. I'm like the Bermuda Triangle of the elderly. I make food literally disappear. I'll tell you, though, when my wife and I are out in public, people say, "Oh, look how they're still in love. The way they hold hands and snuggle up while they walk around." Yeah, the truth is we can't stand each other. We only walk like that to avoid falling flat on our faces. Yeah, being married to my wife is rough. Around my house, she calls the shots. But I end up drinking them. I guess I'm what's known as a sex offender. Whenever I ask my wife for sex, she gets offended. Yeah, my wife and I are definitely members of the opposite sex. When I suggest sex, she says the opposite. At our age, though, we're living on a fixed income, which means everything in our house needs to be fixed. But I tell you, when my wife gets angry with me, she gives me the silent treatment. What she doesn't know is by her giving me the silent treatment, it's like my birthday, Christmas, and winning the lottery all rolled up into one day. Now that I'm in my 60s and have ALS, it seems my window for joining a gang is closing. Maybe I can make my own gang or two. Since I mostly just sit around and eat all day, my fat old people gang could be called the Chips, and my rival gang could be called the Blood. Transfusions. Yeah, but at my age, my drinking days are over. Now, I only drink at night. In fact, when I meet a woman I'm interested in, I don't date her, I carbon date her. But I'm noticing that old people are treated strangely. Even TV commercials go out of their way to make sure the elderly are able to understand the content. For example, they say, be sure to check with your doctor if you're healthy enough for sex. That makes no sense. I'm not even attracted to my doctor. And old people say things like, I like all kinds of music except rap. Yeah, but I guess I understand rap music is basically just lengthy, endless talking. If I wanted to experience that, I'd just go on a long car ride with my wife. One of the disappointing parts about getting old is every time I have to get a new driver's license picture taken at the DMV, I look uglier and uglier. I'm thinking it must just be the lighting in the DMV. You know, all things are just different with aging. For example, my vision's impaired. The other day I was driving down the freeway and I saw a car radically tailgating another car. Well, with my elderly short fuse, I was yelling in my car and I sped up to see who the jerk was so I could give him a piece of my mind. Turns out the front car was towing the back car. And I said, oh. Then I took a blood pressure pill and drove on. I even argue with Siri over directions. I often say, come on, Siri, why are you taking me this way? She finally got tired of me, and boy, was I surprised when she said, hey, fatso, if you're so smart, why do you need me? In fact, I've been thinking, since old people are so crabby, it makes perfect sense that anyone over 60 should be issued a new social security number. It should be called antisocial security number. We should keep it simple, and all us old folks could be issued the same number, 666. When I was dating my wife, I told her I worked for the CIA. That way, when she says to me, how was your day? I simply tell her, you know my job, dear. I'm not able to talk about it. That makes it easier for me when I get home from work to brush by her and head to the toilet. But I must say, one time my wife said the loveliest thing to me. I'll never forget it. She said, Bert, I think I'm coming down with laryngitis. My wife and I aren't always on opposite sides of things. You know, years ago, we hatched a plan to get back at our kids. Whenever we know they're coming over, we just turn the heat up in the house to 90 degrees and repeatedly throw our shawls at them. We'll show them. Well, that's enough of the geriatric complaint section of the show. This is the part of the show I call, Here Are Things People Never Say. I don't know why, because I'm a good listener, but in 61 years, I've simply never heard these phrases being uttered. For instance, hey, Jim, how's that crotch of yours holding up? Or how about this? I sure love my wife, but I wish we could talk a little bit more about our feelings during the Super Bowl. Or how about, hey, yesterday Miriam told me nothing brings me more joy than my cellulite. Or last night I went on a regular date, but when I got a good look at my date, I gouged my eyes out. And just like that, I was on a blind date. When camping in the altitude, I never eat dinner. I always eat Donner. How about this? You never hear, hey, I hear the Beatles are getting back together. Or, who wants chemo? I do. Here's something I've always figured I'd hear in general conversation out in society. But strangely enough, I've never heard it. I got my BS at Harvard, my PhD at Cornell, and my STD on 2nd Street in Long Beach. Hey, Mom and Dad, I've got some big news. Brace yourself. Well, here goes. I'm engaged to a Frisbee. Here's some more things you never hear people say. Remember, Ellen, in case of fire, do not take the stairs. Always take the elevator. I believe I'm one of the great saints. I even have an astigmatism. My daughter is very politically conservative. She even got a presidential tattoo on her lower back. We call it a Trump stamp. How about this? Hey, Darren, I hope you don't mind, but I vomited in your turtleneck. Okay, family, everybody sit down. Fran and I have got some news. We're gonna have gastric bypass surgery. How about this? Hey, Tim, come on over here. We're out of toilet paper and I need your beard to wipe myself. Here's some more stuff you never hear people say. My brother is so kind, he'll give you the shirt and hair off his back. I've got some bad news, Mike. Reese Witherspoon called and she wants her ovaries back. This year for Christmas, I don't want any gifts. All I want is to be surrounded by my family and friends and forced into a detox center. I just keep it simple, Phil. I never go anywhere without my crotch. Hey, Nick, the wife served meatloaf for dinner tonight, so when I go to the can after dinner, I'll actually be pinching a loaf. Wow, Terry, your boys are really getting big, and so's your wife. What's her secret? Oh, that Martin Luther King. He was way off. I like a man who's not afraid to wear a Speedo. To church. On Easter. And finally, the last few things you'll never hear people say. Hey, kids, never take drugs out of my purse. I found my wife in bed with another blanket. Excuse me, waitress, can you be sure the waiter spits in my Cobb salad? How about this one?
I have a stalker, but I spent the day with him. He's just so down to earth.
And we're all so happy Meredith just received a certificate for having the biggest butt in the entire PTA. now it's time for a segment called Music News. In case you're unaware, tribute bands are popping up everywhere. Tribute bands are typically local musicians who play the songs from famous bands in a local venue. And sometimes the tribute bands even dress like the original band to give the listener an experience like almost being there to see the original famous band playing live. Another huge trend in the music business is established musicians from popular groups starting new bands with other musicians who are also popular established groups. According to our research, here are some examples that our staff has unearthed about these exciting new trends in the music business. Apparently, a group of local clergymen have put together a tribute band regarding legendary rockers Van Halen. They call themselves Hot for Preacher. A group of gentlemen who met in a nudist colony have formed a Rolling Stones tribute band. The name of the group is Jumpin' Jack Flasher. A group of friends with all low IQs have started a tribute to Maroon 5. They are called Five Morons. As mentioned, rock stars are cashing in on their fame with other rock stars. Even aging rock stars like Kid Rock and members of the Rolling Stones have formed a new band called Kidney Stones. 80s one-hit wonders Quarter Flash have come together with legendary Pretenders singer Chrissie Hynde. They're now recording a new album under the name Hindquarters. And Neil Diamond apparently has some fans who met in a drug rehab facility. They put together a tribute called Sweet Carolina Coke. Yet another tribute band is gaining popularity. A group of fellows who also met in a drug rehab facility are doing a tribute to the legendary 70s band Kansas. They call themselves Angel Dust in the Wind. I'm also hearing that some factory workers at Planters Peanuts have generated a Johnny Cash tribute act. They call the group Johnny Cashew. In a big music development, it's been reported that members of Led Zeppelin have joined forces with Aerosmith singer Steven Tyler to form an exciting new supergroup they call Hairway to Steven. A British group of brothers, who unfortunately all suffer from herpes, have come together to make a tribute to the Bee Gees. Their name is Saturday Night Fever Blister. Punk legends X and members of Motley Crue have formed a collaboration putting together a new group called Crew X. I don't know about you, but I'm itching to hear them. Even children are getting in on these new trends, as apparently a group of kids from Los Angeles have put together a Guns N' Roses tribute band. I'm told these young people call themselves Welcome to the Jungle Gym. Well, as you can see, the music business is abuzz with all these startling new groups. I'm getting word here in my earpiece, hold on, that still more groups are coming into our news desk. And now, this just in. I'm told that 80s rockers Twisted Sister are the subject of yet another tribute band. This one is by a group of men who met in an old age home. They're called Twisted Colon. I'm also hearing these elderly fellows have recorded their first single called We're Not Gonna Take Our Medicine. A set of friends who met in a bird-watching club got to talking and discovered they're all big fans of the group Nirvana. They're now doing a tribute band to Nirvana called Smells Like Dean's Parrot. A group of frigid women have started a tribute to the band Yes. The band is called No! 5 obese men and women have put together a tribute to Fleetwood Mac. They call themselves Fleetwood MacDonalds. Apparently, yet another Guns N' Roses tribute has popped up. In this one, several post-war amputees are performing under the moniker Sweet Child of Minefields. Reggae legends Burning Spear have joined forces with 80s Grammy winner Christopher Cross. The band is called Burning Cross. They aren't doing well on the West Coast, but they're very popular in the South. In a strange collaboration, Def Leppard recruited the fellows from They Might Be Giants to put in place a new group called They Might Be Deaf. In perhaps an even stranger collaboration, members of the 80s rock band Skid Row have united with 80s crooner Richard Marx to form an exciting new group called Skid Marks. Across the pond, a set of friends who all suffer from chronic constipation have been playing in a tribute band to the Beatles. They're called The Long and Binding Load. In similar fashion, a group of gents who met in alcohol rehab have put together a Paul McCartney and Wings show called Liver, Let Die. California punk rock heroes Face to Face met up with legendary Led Zeppelin singer Robert Plant and decided to collaborate. They're calling their group Face Plant. A group of dirty hippies have formed a tribute band to the 90s band Faith No More. It makes perfect sense. They're called Bathe No More. As you can see, these trends in the music business are rapidly increasing. Here are a final few that our research staff has unearthed. 4 men working for Frito-Lay got to talking in the break room and discovered they all love the group Rage Against the Machine. These 4 now do a tribute calling themselves Rage Against the Vending Machine. In a remarkable development, the remaining members of the Beatles are in the studio cutting a new song with the great Dolly Parton. The song is called I Want to Hold Your Gland. A group of AC/DC fans, who unfortunately are big-time racists, have named their AC/DC tribute band Back in Blackface. In an irreverent take on a tribute to ZZ Top, 3 female exotic dancers have put together a tribute to the music of ZZ Top. Their band is called ZZ Topless. A group of narcissists who met in a narcissist psychotherapy group are performing under the name the Self-Righteous Brothers. In what may be the most unexpected group to form, the family members of the late Rodney King, in tribute to Rodney's thoughts, have put together an instrumental 60s surf-style band called Can't We All Just Get a Longboard? A group of urologists were chatting at a convention, and they were thrilled to find out they're all big Jim Croce fans. As soon as the convention was over, they formed a Jim Croce tribute band called Jim Croce. In Minnesota, a new tribute group made up of all librarians are putting on a Jane's Addiction tribute, calling themselves Jane's Addictionary. In another rehab meeting, 5 fellows with hardcore drug use problems all voiced their love of the Eagles. This exciting new group is called Life in the Last Vein. And finally, in a tribute to society's new focus on gender issues, the 90s group Boys to Men have renamed their group Boys to Menstruate. Well, speaking of bands, I was in the same band for 30 years, and I have a few thoughts on being a musician. Every show, people would say to me, "What time do you play?" Play? What am I, 4? I'd always answer, well, I'll be in the sandbox at 7, then we have juice and graham crackers at 8, and after that we play with Tonka trucks until 9. And if I don't get put down for a nap, I think we'll eat some strained peas and take the stage at around 10. Good enough? No one ever said, what time is your show? What time do you perform? But honestly, I was mostly just amazed and happy that someone was even coming to the show. One thing about my band, we didn't have hot guys on stage who drove women wild. No ladies' undergarments ever flew up on stage. In fact, women wouldn't undress us with their eyes. Rather, they'd overdress us with their eyes. Yeah, like I said, no clothing from females ever landed on stage. Instead, during our show, women would run out to their vehicles, come back in with huge wool jackets on. Half the crowd looked like Eskimos in the dead of winter. Some rock band we were. Another music-related thing I've noticed is that tons of rappers have the name Lil as part of their stage name. For example, there's Lil Wayne, Lil Bow Wow, Lil Kim, and many more. You know what? To be honest, I think it'd be much more interesting if these folks got more creative with their names. I'd like there to be a white rapper called Lil Talent, an Asian rapper named Lil Driving Skills. How about an African-American rapper called Lil to No Child Support? Or a Mexican rapper who goes by Lil Too Much Drinking and Loud Music on the Weekends. Okay, so moving on, this is the part of the show I call Random Thoughts. None of this is life-changing, but since we're all here together, I think these thoughts are worth considering. Well, to start out, I've been thinking that a poorly made sequel should be called a fequel. Why are Toyota truck owners allowing Toyota to put turd on the side of their truck? It says TRD, but to me that says turd. I'd be down to the dealership in a minute saying, hey, get this turd sticker off the side of my truck, will ya? Their answer? Well, sir, it stands for Toyota Racing Development. I don't care what it stands for, get it off of there. Toyota Racing Development. I don't even know what that means. I only drive to church or Walmart. Racing Development? Get out of here. By the way, I don't eat meatloaf anymore. I've decided I'm no longer eating anything with the word loaf in it. And I don't eat dumplings either because it has the word dump in it.
Excuse me for interrupting, Bert. This is the show's narrator. I'm sorry to tell you this, but when you talk about bowel movements, you immediately become the least interesting man in the world.
Hey, what the heck was that? Anyways, I got tired of waiting. All my aging friends have man boobs and mine just weren't coming in. So I'm excited to announce I got implants. Now I'm just like everybody else at the senior center. Now, for those of you familiar with 1970s pop singers, I think a small amount of gas being released should be called a mini Ripperton. This is off the subject, but I just cannot take an illness called mumps seriously. In the context of human sexuality, the term bored stiff makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Before we go any further, folks, I'm a scientist and I love collecting empirical data from the audience. If you don't mind, by a clap or show of hands, how many of you have ever been dumped by someone? Oh, okay, I'm noting this here in my notebook. Another question. How many of you have ever dumped someone? Yeah, okay, thank you. Final question. How many of you took a dump today? I don't know about you, but I think it's a great decision when a woman shaves off her eyebrows and then pencils them in. I think it's like a bald guy getting a tattoo on his head that says hair, or like a teenager getting a tattoo on his face that says acne. Hey, question, what do you call a fast seamstress? Anybody? A Taylor Swift. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but my favorite bass player is the guy from The Doors. No. Actually, that's not right. He's my second favorite. My favorite bass player in the world is from the White Stripes. Well, yesterday I spent 2.5 hours on the freeway. I guess that makes me a human trafficker. By the way, this has nothing to do with anything, but the word civic spelled backwards is civic. Continuing on with my random thoughts, I think difficulty delivering a huge couch should be called a cesarean sectional. At my age, I spend my nights like ISIS, getting bombed. My dog is dyslexic. Every time he sneezes, I say, "Dog bless you." I know a lady who got a tattoo of an American flag on her rump. As she got older and put on more and more weight, she became more and more patriotic, if you know what I mean. Ointment is a weird word. How about we break up into some small groups and discuss the word ointment? This isn't funny, but I really hate it when I feel a sneeze coming on and then it just up and goes away. I hate that. Okay, does anybody know who came up with the term pap smear? Come on, man. Gross. Yesterday I was driving down the road and I saw a vehicle with a sign that said, "Caution, student driver." That's just not right. I think the instructor should have some more experience than that. I'm not comfortable saying I'm going to use the John. It's not right to just use people like that. I find it curious when I ask someone what they do for a living and they respond with, "I'm a life coach." My response is, "Oh really, who died and left you all knowing?" I think we blew it when we coined the term butt crack. It would be better if we just called it the bottom line. But I love my toilet at home so much that when we moved, I wrote it a Dear John letter. This next random thought is for the middle-aged women named Kathy who have recently decided to go by the name Kat. Too late. Your parents weren't cool enough to name you Kat. That ship has sailed. You are now and always will be Kathy. Your birth certificate says Catherine and you were fine with it, but now in your 40s you want an edgier name. But it's not happening. Don't lay it on us that we should have to memorize your new name when we bump into you at the Pottery Barn, Miss Edgy. And my final random thought, I think it's hard to get elected to office nowadays. Everything is so political. The next section of the show is simply called My Parents. My mom and dad have both passed, but they left me with some great memories. My mom was suffering with Alzheimer's, and I said to her, "Mom, what do you think of all this transgender talk we hear so much about nowadays?" Mom said, "Transgender? Is that a new airline? 'Cause I don't fly much anymore, son." One time as a compliment, I told her, "Mom, you're a great grandmother." She said, "I'm not a great grandmother yet. I'm just a grandmother." So I said, "No, Mom, I'm saying you're a great grandmother." She said, "I just told you, I'm not a great grandmother. I'm just a grandmother." And this went on for about 10 minutes. My parents had 7 kids and I'm the youngest. They actually wanted more kids, but when I was delivered, it rendered my mom unable to have more kids. When someone would ask my dad, "Why are you having more kids?" he'd say, "It's just one more bowl of soup out of the pot." He was a man of great faith and believed what the Bible said, that children are a blessing from God. A great man. True story. I remember one time I came home and saw my dad sitting on a chair. He had a giant soup ladle attached to a jump rope that was tied around his waist. When his back would hurt, he would spin the ladle and the rope would tighten up one of my textbooks called Warner's English Grammar and Composition that he had snugly tied up against his low back. Seeing him periodically spin the ladle was absolutely hysterical to me, but I was bummed his back hurt. I asked my dad, "Are you going to see an orthopedist for your back?" He said, "No, this contraption seems to be doing the trick." I think you could categorize my dad as old school. Since I was a somewhat odd kid, I remember my mom saying to my dad, "Al, I don't think Bert has his head hooked on straight." I remember standing alone in the bathroom, peering at the mirror and staring at my head. I actually remember thinking to myself, well, my head looks straight to me. My nose is crooked, but my head seems straight. But she's my mom, so she must know better than me if it's crooked. If I was smart, I would have been happy, as I could have always gotten a gig at the Carnival Freak Show, billed as, "Step right up, folks. Come and see the boy who doesn't have his head hooked on straight." My dad was the most non-materialistic person I ever met. People would ask him, "Hey Al, what kind of car do you have?" But he never knew the name. He knew if it was a Ford or Chevy, that's how he pronounced it. But he never knew the model. He'd just say, "Well, it's brown and it's a four-door." In my entire life, I never heard my dad say, "I wish I had anything." Not once. He was content with what God had provided. Continuing on about my loving, faithful parents, one time all 9 of us came to visit and we were sitting at our huge kitchen table. I was parallel to my mom and she got a good look at my nose as I was chatting. She said to me in front of everybody, "My gosh, Bert, what has happened to your nose?" I reminded her, "Mom, remember? It was broken when I was playing basketball and my right eye socket was broken too." She said, "Yes, I remember, but that is not your nose." I said, "Well, it is now, Mom. Insurance refused to fix it." She said, "Well, all I know is that's not the nose you were raised with." My siblings and I howl to this day about that, and when I first see them, at least one of them is sure to say to me, "That's not your nose." Another classic mom story. She called me up to say, "I'm reading an article about the other band on your record label called Sublime, and the article mentions you." She continued, "The piece says Sublime plays a style of music called Riga. Maybe it's pronounced raggae. What is that?" I explained to her it's called reggae. She couldn't grasp how to say reggae, so as the conversation continued, she called it rigu and raga. Finally, to make it easy for her, I told her it's pronounced ragu, just like the spaghetti sauce. When my mom was in the late stages of her Alzheimer's, the only thing she was able to do was mouth the words, "I love you," over and over to me. Now she's a holy woman of God in heaven with Jesus. I'm so happy for her. All right, well, moving right along, this next section of this performance is simply called Church. As mentioned, thankfully, my parents spent a lot of time in church and teaching us the faith. But I'll say some of the lessons seemed confusing to a little kid who didn't have his head hooked on straight. For example, the story of the rich man and the poor man threw me. When the poor man died, he was rewarded by going to Abraham's bosom. As a child, I never understood that. I remember thinking, I want to go to heaven, but I'm not comfortable lying in some 5,000-year-old guy's bosom. I thought maybe a pretty woman's bosom, but even then I wasn't totally sure what a bosom was. As I grew, I understood the passage meant the poor man went to be with his relatives and was being comforted by them, but initially I thought, that's heaven? Flying to an old man's bosom? And continuing on about a young person misunderstanding church, during the Catholic Mass, the word covenant is used a lot, which I mistook for the word coconut. I can recall sitting in the pew asking myself, why all this fuss over coconuts? Yet another verse that boggled me as a kid was, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." I thought, why does this person not want the Lord to be a shepherd? Is God going to get fired or laid off as this guy's shepherd? Wow, that takes some guts. In church, I always feel for the choir. They rehearse for hours to get their singing down perfectly. But every so often, a priest, who always has the loudest microphone, insists on gleefully singing along with his booming microphone, and he can't sing a lick. I always look at the choir director as he cringes repeatedly. True story. Some years back, I asked my son if he wanted to be an altar boy. His response was, "Is it a paying gig?" When I said no, he politely but firmly declined. One thing we learned early on from my parents, and that I've passed on to my 4 sons, is that the other people in the church and the preaching capability of the priest are not to be the focus. People in church are sinners just like me, and all need a savior. And the priests are doing their best, but not all are Dale Carnegie's speech stalwarts. Our focus at Mass is to praise God in prayer and song and receive Him in Holy Communion. That way we don't spend our life church hopping in search of perfect people and perfect preaching. In short, every service, God is there and He alone is perfect. In the most respectful way, I ask, is it just me or is this Godfellow kind of a know-it-all? Recently, I was sitting out by our community pool and I heard a mother say to her son, "Messiah, stop splashing your sister." Messiah? Wow, that's a pretty heavy name to slap on your kid. Of course, if he was smart, he would have said to his mom, "I'm not splashing my sister, I'm baptizing her." That would have gotten him off the hook. But I really think his sister is not going to be getting a lot of attention around the house with a brother named Messiah. Unless, of course, her name is Mary, and she's a virgin. Can you imagine young Messiah's life? He's just trying to learn his times tables, and people are stopping him to ask for a cure to their leprosy. What an imposition. Well, I sure as heck didn't name any of my kids Messiah. I gave them more realistic names. The first son I named, "Do you want fries with that?" My second son I named Carney. Number 3 I named, "Can you spare some change?" And my youngest I named Ward, of the state. Another true story. One time we were teaching my youngest about the concept of sin, and my third son said to him, "Everybody sins, Jacob, even Regis Philbin." Finally, I've been thinking how Jesus came to be the Messiah. As you know, there's the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I wonder if they are up in heaven watching the disaster we're turning this world into, and they agreed. Uh-oh, it's time for one of us to take on the form of a man, die on the cross, and be their savior. But how did they decide who would go? Jesus probably deferred to his father and said, "Dad, you're the father, so I think it's best that you go." Or maybe the father said, "Nah, Jesus, you know I've got this bad ACL tear in my knee, and I'm getting older, and the savior job requires a lot of walking from town to town to do all the preaching. I think it's best you go." Maybe Jesus said, "Well, how about the Spirit? Why can't he do it?" Then I imagine the Holy Spirit chimed in with, "Look, I'd be happy to go, but as you know, I'm a ghost. The people wouldn't even be able to see me. How could they crucify a ghost?" So I guess Jesus said, "Well, you both make a good point. I guess I'll take the gig, but mark my words, some things are going to change around here when I get back. Number 1, I want a new chariot. That old one I've been using that was Elijah's needs a ton of work. In fact, I've been stranded in that heap several times on that street of gold. And number 2, I'm going to need a new nickname. The Lamb? That sounds too wimpy. I want a modern, cool name like Savior Save." And based on all that, Jesus agreed to come and die for our sins. That is how we all got ALS, which to me stands for a loving Savior. Moving right along, this section of the show is called The English Language Gone Amok. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you hear people say things like, "Well, Earl, I feel if someone is going to live in America, they should learn our language." Do you know how hard it is to go to another country and become fluent in their language? The English language is particularly hard because we've adopted all sorts of weird phrases over the years. As such, I'm going to give you a list of things we say in English that makes it virtually impossible for a foreigner to grasp what we're saying. Kick the bucket. Stop on a dime. Holy cow. For the love of Pete. Got my ducks in a row. She's one tough cookie. He really cooked his goose. I'll only be here a minute and then I'll be out of your hair. The proof is in the pudding. He's a peach. Follow my instructions to the T. I will, by George. Are you guys seeing what I mean? This is a confusing language to learn, and we need to be patient with our new arrivals into the U.S. Here's some more. Oh, fiddlesticks. This place is for the birds. They don't know me from Adam. Cute as a button. No strings attached. This is turning into a wild goose chase. Justin's comment left me scratching my head. I'm pleased as punch. Clean as a whistle. Wait, whistles are filthy. Bill was 2 sheets to the wind. Neither here nor there. Well, it's gotta be somewhere. If he think he's not paying, he's got another thing coming. Dan is under the weather. Wait, think about it, man. Aren't we all under the weather all the time? That's it in a nutshell. After the argument, Fred got kind of squirrely. I'm glad we touched base. Now that's a horse of another color. Never mind, Sheila. She's just trying to get your goat. Ben is a smart aleck. What's an aleck? I work like a dog, huh? Dogs just lie around all day. We were just horsing around. Make a beeline for it. Hey, Rich, can you fix my car? Sure, piece of cake. Well, words are confusing and sometimes illogical, but sometimes words sound like they should mean something else. For example, all hail our esteemed emperor, the great Syphilis Maximus. His kingdom runs along the Gonorrhea Plateau. At Hogwarts, Harry Potter got kicked in the Slytherin. Later, in the same Quidditch match, poor Harry had the Quidditch ball bounce off his Hufflepuffs. Well, now that I've driven the English language into full stupidity mode, I think it's best we move on to this section I like to call Things to Discuss Instead of Doing Your Work. Here's something I often hear that I find offensive. Someone is mentioning someone else in conversation, and coincidentally, the person being mentioned just happens to walk up at the exact time. Right away, the person says, "Oh, there's Jim now. Speak of the devil." Poor Jim. He just strolled up to get a cup of coffee and he's being called the devil. Totally inappropriate. Let's agree to stop that as a society. My youngest son asked me if a hermaphrodite can get itself pregnant. I didn't know how to respond, so I just said, maybe if it's on a hermaphrodate. If you know me at all, you know I have the weirdest food issues. For example, when I get fast food, I ask for no onions on my burger, but I'll order onion rings in the same order. I love tomatoes, but I hate ketchup. I love avocados, but dislike guacamole. Hey man, sometimes they mix stuff in with the avocado. I like pickles, but not relish. Finally, I'd rather die than eat sour cream or mayonnaise. It's not funny, it's just weird. A while back, my wife politely asked me if I'd stop mowing the front lawn with my shirt off. She said, the neighbors, they don't want to see that. So of course I continue to mow shirtless because it's hot where we live. My wife asked me why I'm stubborn about not wearing a shirt, and I said I'll wear one once I reach my goal. She asked what goal I was talking about. I simply told her once I just see one neighbor physically vomit all over his or her binoculars, I will have accomplished my goal. Touching on an already well-discussed topic, I know I'm getting old. In fact, in 2021, when my band put out an album, I wanted to have a picture of all 4 members of the band on the front cover of the album. I wanted to call the album Which Ziggen Dies First. Then the fans would go to a link and cast their vote about who will die first, based on the way we each look. The idea was that the winner who picked which Ziggen would die first correctly would receive a free shovel. Unfortunately, I got outvoted by the rest of the group, and so we ended up calling the release Organ. Boring. Time for a cheesy joke. What do you call it when you tickle a Scantron? A test tickle. Here's another personal pet peeve. We spend our whole life in our kitchen and dining rooms having drinks from a glass or cup. It works out fine. Suddenly, when we order fast food, we feel the need to drink through a straw. We turn into 3-year-olds. Why is that, man? What's next for adults at Jack in the Box? Sippy cups? Continuing with our topic, things to discuss instead of doing your work. I think that hotels that continue with the social distancing rules from a few years back are definitely going to take a huge hit on the bookings for their honeymoon suite. Just saying. Now, there is a shoreline city in Southern California called Ocean Beach. Can you imagine this conversation happening? Hey, Phil, what beach are we going to today? Answer, we're going to Ocean Beach. I know we're going to the ocean and to the beach. What I'm asking you, Phil, is what's the name of the beach? I told you, Ocean Beach. Could you be any more vague, Phil? Or are you purposely trying to be evasive about our destination? What I want to know is which creative and brilliant city official chose the name Ocean Beach for that stretch of our coastline. How much confusion did he or she cause over the years? Time for a pink slip. Speaking of the beach, here's something I hear a lot. Oh, Kevin and I just love the beach. I always ask the folks who say that some questions to filter out the hogwash. Oh, so you love the beautiful sunshine? Well, no. We sit under an umbrella and we load up on sunscreen. We don't want those harmful rays. Then I say, oh, so you're water people? No, not really. It's too cold for us, and I can't stand slimy things on the ocean floor touching my feet. I continue, oh, so you love the feel of the warm sand between your toes? Oh, no, I avoid the sand by wearing sandals, and I sit on a beach chair to avoid getting sand in my swimsuit as it can really chafe. Finally, I ask, so you and Kevin just love relaxing and checking out the ocean view? Well, no, we both wear strong sunglasses to block the sun from irritating our eyes, but yeah, we're definitely huge beach people. What I can't stand is a laxative that works as gentle overnight relief. When I'm constipated, I want something that works now.
Again, Bert, whenever you start to speak about your constipation, you remind us that you are the least interesting man in the world.
Well, that was rude. Anyways, like I was saying, I want a laxative that works now. I mean, I want to take the pill and 5 minutes later be standing in my kitchen. When I drop my plate and glass, my face goes white and I begin to sweat profusely. Then I run over 2 of my kids and their grandma on the way to the toilet. I want to be like Clark Griswold running towards Wally World. I want to scream and tear my clothes off as I slap my behind on the bowl. Gentle overnight relief. No thanks. I have a buddy I've been asking for years to go to a baseball game with me. He's not into sports, so he politely refuses. I think he finally had a brilliant suggestion about a solution. He said, when they start playing the baseball game at the same time and on the exact same field as the football game, then I'll go. He said, now that I would find interesting. Going back to my youth in a feeble attempt to be funny, I recall standing and chatting in a circle of friends in the lunch area of my high school. When I would see our principal, a Catholic priest, strolling towards us, I would turn my back to him, and just as he passed by, I'd say to my buddies, so there I was in police handcuffs, stark naked with white powder all over my nose. Then I'd say, oh, hi, Father, as he passed by me. Every time he would stop and briefly get my neck in a Vulcan Spock-like grip, and then he'd smile and press on. Big fun for a 17-year-old Bert Susanka. But I've always had a propensity for putting my foot in my mouth. For example, recently I said to my friend who has no hands, you feeling me? One time I went to end a relationship with a girl I'd been dating. She's a deaf mute, and I said to her, we need to talk. Another time, when I worked at the Veterans Administration, I gave advice to a veteran who was an amputee about his pending court case. I simply meant no harm when I said, regarding your pending court case, I don't think you have a leg to stand on. I have a history of putting my foot in my mouth. Now something I feel we need to discuss is that every city has a Palm Avenue. I think that's unfair. Why Palm? No Ankle Avenue, Foot Avenue, no knee or neck. Why Palm?
Bert, the street is named that way, as in palm tree. You know, like other streets, like Olive, Spruce, Magnolia. It has nothing to do with the palm of a hand.
Well, why can't we have body parts as streets? It'd be more interesting if we gave directions like this. Take a right on tonsil, left on mucus, do a U-turn at ovary. I'm tired of Main Street and Grand Avenue. How about we get more creative, like turn right on assassination, left on dry heaves, then cross dysfunctional, go 1 mile until you hit STD Boulevard, then cross I hate my life, and when you hit Booger, you're there, at the corner of Booger and Death Wish. If you get to assault with a deadly weapon, you've gone way too far. Isn't that more fun than Palm Avenue, Main Street, and Grand Avenue? Since I've gotten older, I need to pay close attention to my ears and nose. Unfortunately, the spinning hair removal device I bought simply didn't work very well. So I'm on a mission now to find a device that really works. I want to stick it up my nose and see nasal cartilage and blood flying all over the bathroom and even across the hallway. This is similar to my beef with laxatives that provide gentle overnight relief. I'm too old for gentle. Perhaps you can all help me with a question I have. When a coworker sneezes, how many times are you obligated to say God bless you? I say twice. The third sneeze, they're on their own. If I do more than 2 God bless yous, I'm going to be accused of being a religious zealot. Still, I worry about sneeze number 3 that my work colleague will say, didn't my third sneeze warrant a God bless you too? And then I've got to feel guilty the rest of my shift. What do you say we break up into small groups right now and try to come to a consensus on this so I can get a decent night's sleep again? Now, regarding Facebook birthdays notifications, if you're the type that says, for my birthday this year, please stop. Unless you're a 13-year-old named Brittany or Tiffany, or you are Brittany and Tiffany's junior high friends, your birthday means nothing to anybody. And we're not jumping through hoops for you, not now, not ever. I saw one the other day that said, for my birthday this year, I'm asking all left-handed libertarians to smear knockwurst in their hair to show a sign of support for the Tibetan tree maggots. Tree maggots this! Well, do we have any airline pilots in the audience? Okay, well, pilots, I have a request. Please don't come on the intercom and say we'll be landing in 25 minutes. For us weary travelers, 25 minutes seems like 2 hours when the hope was you were saying we'll be landing in 5 minutes. Please only come on to say we're making our descent and we'll be landing in 5 minutes. Any more minutes till landing than that and we'll start hijacking your pretty stewardesses. Repeatedly. Thank you. Moving from pilots to proctologists, I'm thinking when a proctologist gets home from work and his wife says, "How was your day?" I wonder if he says, "Just another day at the orifice." Just a random little thought. No man has ever put clothing on his pet, nor will any man. Well, continuing with things for us to discuss while you should be doing your work, something I've been hearing my whole life is just after a baby boy is born, folks say, "Wow, look at his hands and feet. He's going to be a big boy." You got yourself a football player there, Mitch. But you never hear, "Wow, Mitch, your daughter is going to be a big one. I'll bet she ends up destroying other broads in the roller derby." So where is all this excitement about a big boy coming from? Great big people have a higher incidence of hypertension, cardiovascular issues, diabetes, and obviously obesity. Why the celebration about that? I think at the hospital it's more appropriate to hear, "Hey Phil, congratulations on having a tiny wimp of a kid. He just boosted his lifespan." Well, my family's so dysfunctional, we had to implement our own family government to get absolutely anything done around the house. So we voted, and here's how it turned out. My son is Tweaker of the House. My daughter is Secretary of Hate. My wife is Vice's President. And I was unanimously voted fat jerk who bosses everyone around. Now that I'm sickly, I continue to battle with constipation.
The least interesting man in the world.
Where does that interruption keep coming from? I think my constipation references are absolutely spellbinding and fascinating. Anyways, like I was saying, as a constipated man, whenever it's finally time to go, I know it'll be a lengthy process, especially because no job is complete until all the paperwork is done. As such, when I head to the John, I bring my cell phone, a magazine, some brandy, and a cigar. Sometimes I'm in there so long I even order DoorDash. When I hear the DoorDash guy knocking on the front door, I just yell at him to bring it on up. I know it's a bit awkward for my DoorDash guy, but he obliges me because he knows I tip well. The tip is even bigger if I have him bring me up the plunger. And oh boy, what a tip he gets if he does the actual plunging for me. Last week I saw a dissatisfied, depressed young woman driving on the freeway next to me. She had a bumper sticker that read, "In memory of my virginity, 2001 to 2023. In our home, when our dog goes to the bathroom, he automatically is given a treat. I think I should be afforded the same luxury. I picture my wife standing outside the bathroom door saying, "Honey, when you're done in there, there's a beautiful new Rolex watch out here for you. If not a Rolex, I'll settle for a ham sandwich and a glass of milk." If you're not aware, I just got back from doing a series of comedy shows in Alabama. Wow, things are very different over there. I was in my hotel room watching TV, and the commercials in particular are very different. One commercial was for Mary KKK Cosmetics. Another was about getting a free Slurpee at the Circle KKK. Then they advertised a job with good pay and a 401 KKK. Finally, the jewelry store ad began with a jingle I recognized for "Every kiss begins with K. KK. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, so I turned off the TV, and when you know it, the couple in the room next door were listening to old-time radio, and the strain of a song was very familiar to me, as it was a song from my youth. Much to my dismay, they had adjusted the lyrics into "KKK, Sarah, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. KKK, Sarah." Finally, I ran out of the hotel and hopped on a plane. My comedy tour was over. Is it just me, or does anyone else, as they run upstairs to vomit, think of the phrase "stairway to heaven"? I think when a husband and wife have been married so long that their gas smells the same, we should call it Tutankhamun. Recently, I wanted to get help at a medical clinic, but I couldn't because the sign outside said walk-in clinic, and I was in a wheelchair. Boy, that was rude. As a dad, I've discovered over the years that there must be a huge ring of thieves targeting the white socks of dads only. I personally can't keep them in my drawer. What I'm getting at is there's a reason you see dads all over America in shorts and black socks mowing their lawn after church on Sunday. But it's not us dads' fault. I believe it's a global crisis of epic proportions. Let's break up into small groups and discuss this. Just between you and me, I think because of bone density loss and big-time balance issues, when two senior citizens fall in love, they really fall in love. And all senior citizens should make sure they have the AC/DC song Back in Black always available to listen to, because with all the funerals we attend, the phrase Back in Black really makes a lot of sense, wardrobe-wise. Nowadays, I find that vacuum cleaners really stink. Sure, they look great with the see-through head and the spinning devices, but the problem is they don't work. We've personally burned through 9 vacuums since we tied the knot. When I was a kid, we were encouraged to do a lot of vacuuming, especially if company was coming. We had an industrial brand Hoover upright that maids used in hotel rooms, and it never broke down. I remember one time I accidentally vacuumed up my little cousin Tina, who was laying on the floor coloring. We didn't find little Tina until the Hoover finally burped her up on Thanksgiving Day, 1977. But I'll tell you, that Hoover was no worse for the wear after housing a small child for 3.5 months. It's probably still running perfectly today in some 150-room hotel. But I worked in an office for many years, and I always heard the same telephone dialogues coming out of every office as I passed down the hallway. I was burned out with the standard dialogue. Just once, I wanted to overhear a one-sided telephone conversation that went like this. Okay, send the document to my email. Oh, my email? It's L like loogie, T like torture, A like armpit, C like crack addict. No, I said C like crucifixion, M like manslaughter, D like decapitation, and S like stroke victim at Verizon.net. Do you need me to repeat it? Okay, sounds like you got it. Thanks, I'll look for your email. My name, oh, sorry, I thought I gave you that. My name is Biff. That's B like bankrupt, I like irresponsible, F like fentanyl, and F like fentanyl. Okay, thanks, we're all set. Have a nice day. This year during the holidays, I'm hoping to get a Christmas card with a realistic insert update about how a family did this year. I'm tired of Kenneth is at Harvard and Jennifer is finishing up her pre-med studies at Johns Hopkins. What I'm hoping to receive is some truth this year, like, my husband Herb has been unsuccessfully hitting on his secretary for the last 8 months. Our oldest daughter, Penny, got second-degree burns while residing in something known as a crack house. Herb Jr. slammed his Prius into a group of school children in a crosswalk because he was leering at a female jogger in yoga pants. Our youngest daughter, Melinda, has moved to Iraq to shoot a tribute documentary about her all-time hero, the late Saddam Hussein. And finally, our dog Buster snuck out of our yard and impregnated our neighbor's parakeet. So I'm proud to announce we are going to be grandparents.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you have enjoyed the comic stylings of Bert Susanka as presented by Todd Zalkins. And a special thank you to Kris Jackson, who recorded this comedy special. Finally, Bert asked us to let all you Ziggen friends know that God knows what is best for him. And as far as Bert is concerned, ALS stands for one thing and one thing only: a loving Savior.
Is it okay that I'm laughing? You can just delete it?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, but I'm
No,
finding it. Rolling?
Yep.
I like this one.